line, where I help clients ensure compliance with respect to responding to third-party subpoenas, law enforcement requests, garnishments, levies, and other types of legal requests. I'm an attorney who has spent more than 17 years helping AmLaw 200 law firms, Fortune 500 companies, consultancies, and alternative legal service providers in Houston and the Carolinas to achieve their legal ops and e-discovery ops goals. Thanks for having us, Colin. Thank you all in advance for your participation. And I'm going to hand it over to Robert so he can introduce himself.
Thank you, everyone. Robert Daniel. Spent 25 years at Bank of America, 15 years in audit, and then the last 10 years of my career there in the legal department. I'm not an attorney, but I ran the e-discovery operations and regulatory investigations there. After retiring from Bank of America, I've gone to the other side of the table, in the vendor, alternative legal service provider side of the table. So I've been a consumer of these services and provider of these services now combined for about 20 years, working with Mark as subject matter expert in this area where I'd had some responsibility for auditing the third party subpoena group at Bank of America for 2 or 3 years. So, and he and I are working together to build this service line.
We can move to the first slide. Now, I recognize some of you may be looking at this, asking yourself, where in the world is he about to go with this? How can this possibly be relevant to the topic? Well, I enjoy incorporating some pop culture reference into these types of presentations. Last time I used Gremlins, so this time it's Disney. And if you are a fan of Disney films, you can probably recall the classic scene from Snow White where the overly confident evil queen stands before the slave in the magic mirror and oh so knowingly asks him to reveal the fairest in the land, only to be sadly disappointed to find out it was not she. Although animated, it was one of the most classic and memorable examples of a reality check. In similar fashion, the COVID 19 pandemic forced many organizations and corporate legal departments to confront some stark realities about the overall state and health of their business processes. But for just a moment, let's put a twist on this fairy tale. Post pandemic, what if our respective business organizations had the opportunity to gaze into a magic mirror of its own? What if we requested that the mirror be honest about the areas in which we could improve rather than simply telling us what we wanted to hear? What kind of things would it say? And I'm going to go through these in no particular order. Pardon my dramatic reading. Number one, you are overstaffed and over budget. One thing is definitely true. The pandemic has led to a lot of economic uncertainty. We've been on an economic seesaw teetering between recession and inflation for quite some time now. And not every industry has been impacted the same. The gig economy saw a boom in our increased reliance on things like food delivery services and internet retail with a home delivery component. And I'm sure you all love to see those smiley face boxes show up either same day or in 1 to 2 days, just as much as I do. But the tech industry experienced a less positive result. For example, tech giants like Meta and the former Twitter experienced slumps due to underperforming products and services. Twitter allegedly cut its staff down to about 2,000 employees because Elon Musk found the workforce too large and that it had placed too much emphasis on things like content moderation, product safety, product development, and marketing. On the other hand, Meta struggled to monetize the metaverse, its virtual reality venture, resulting in the loss of more than 10,000 jobs. Mark Zuckerberg actually declared this Meta's age of efficiency to news outlets. a period during which the company would be focused on canceling projects that are duplicative or lower priority and making every organization as lean as possible. Now, the echo of Zuckerberg's declaration should have been isolated to the hollowed halls of big tech, but it was not. As inflation has impacted every sector of our economy, others hopped on the efficiency bandwagon. Notorious cost centers, corporate legal departments joined the crowd of efficiency evangelists. The rising costs of outside counsel and increased hiring costs due to competition for top talent were particularly concerning to them. Despite this, work also grew in complexity, and they were tasked to do more with less and think creatively to achieve their goals. Number two on our list here. Your model is not flexible or adaptive. The pandemic necessitated work from home. Now, it was not uncommon for attorneys because we are set up to work from nearly anywhere we can obtain some level of internet or phone connectivity. This change did pose a shock, however, to other categories of legal professionals who were accustomed to working in a centralized office environment where they had easy access to systems and software and could readily collaborate. A prime example of this would have been an e-discovery, which saw an unprecedented surge in remote managed document review. But even more surprising than the shift to work from home was the unexpected impact of working from home or hybrid models. And this is something many are still grappling with. Employees reassessed the need for work life balance in the transition, subsequently resulting in what some are now calling the Great Resignation. Many lost their desire to return to an office environment and sought other employment opportunities. This led to staffing shortages, increased competition for existing talent, and ultimately increased wages to make certain categories of jobs more attractive. The shift in ideology also increased pressure, internal pressure, to maintain staffing levels and manage employee satisfaction. As such, it left us in an odd position when trying to account for the unexpected loss of institutional knowledge as well. Finally, the pandemic challenged business continuity. Business continuity plans were not able to be executed as seamlessly as expected. The need for remote access tested the constraints of tech infrastructure and security. More accounts had to be provisioned to work remotely on home networks. But also, laptop demands exceeded available supplies since manufacturers had to pause operations. Number three, you lack or have poor processes. Some legal departments found themselves challenged by working in a decentralized environment. The hybrid or remote work models added an extra layer of complexity to communication, collaboration, and general management. Things like the lack of data maps, standardized workflows, and SOPs resulted in an inconsistent work product, and it took additional time to provide remote access to essential legal systems and files if such access could be provided at all. Number four, and this is a biggie, you are not leveraging technology. You think you are, but you're really not. Tech took on an increasingly important role in the transfer to work from home. It kept us connected, but was it leveraged as efficiently as it could have been? Were existing IT security protocols enough in the tech decentralized home environment? Here, we came up against several shoulda, woulda, couldas. Remote and hybrid work models placed a premium on operational metrics. You could have leveraged existing technology to produce metrics and customize reporting that would have allowed you to manage more effectively in the work environment. Tech could have been utilized to better manage the effects of attrition. Here, to cope with turnover, legal ops teams needed new ways to capture the knowledge once held by employees and codify it. SharePoint sites could have been leveraged as information repositories, and comprehensive matter management and e-billing tools also could have helped corporate legal departments focus on more strategic work, as matter management tools increasingly became important to manage outside counsel and assess cost effectiveness and efficiency. Automation of certain low risk, repeatable tasks also could have been employed to avoid employee bottlenecks and free up resources to focus on higher value work. And lastly, and certainly not least, uh, opportunities could have been identified to employ the use of legal AI. Yeah, I just said it, that dirty little word, artificial intelligence, which is promising to be everywhere in the next year. So, those things being said, if you were found to be lacking in areas 1 through 4, then ultimately it will lead to the conclusion that you are inefficient. Now, all of this has led to a forced reevaluation of how corporate legal departments are managed. We can move to slide 3 now, Colin. Pandemic proofing the legal department. Well, a lesson isn't a lesson unless you can learn something from it, right? There is an irony in this slide, however, in its use of the Don Quixote image, in that can you really wholly protect yourself against anything? Rather, the intent should be to do what you can to not be caught unaware and to minimize the impact of the unexpected. Post pandemic, corporate legal departments recognize that they may have been too rigid operationally and relying upon technology and processes that worked under a particular set of circumstances. They emerged with bright ideas as to how they can better equip themselves to flex in the face of the unexpected and be better prepared to handle challenges to business continuity. Earlier this year, the Association of Corporate Counsels surveyed chief legal officers to identify key areas of focus for the next year. And they shared the following initiatives. Number one, increasing investment in legal operations. That was a top strategic priority. Post pandemic, there was an increased focus on efficiency and operational metrics and having the ability to readily demonstrate value. It's very difficult to manage what you cannot measure. In addition to this, they also recognize a need to be thoughtful about task allocation, being more mindful about what low risk tasks could be handled internally instead of just blindly firing them out to outside counsel. Cybersecurity, regulatory compliance, and data privacy also ranked as some of the most important issues to the business. And this is likely due to the pervasiveness of regulatory stress applied by environmental, social, and governance issues, data privacy mandates, and increased cybersecurity risks. 70% of CLOs listed this as their top strategic initiative, followed by right sourcing, legal services, which amounted to about 45%, and last but certainly not least, cost minimization, which came in at about 43%. Third on the list was increasing investment in or adoption of legal technology. Here, the number one area of investment was contract management. 41% of CLOs said that they plan on investing in new legal technology in 2024. Contract management is the top area they plan on investing in at 67%, followed by document management, 34%, and workflow tools, 30%. Also falling under this umbrella were process automation goals, removing the human element from performance of repeatable low-risk tasks and empowering legal staff with tools to quickly make decisions and streamline and ensure consistency in communications throughout the business lines. Here also was the critical evaluation of AI, the second time I mentioned that dirty little word. Conversations around generative AI and offerings like Chat GPT keep this top of mind, and soon it will be just as much a part of the dialect as COVID-19 ever was. One thing to consider here is that these AI driven initiatives require tech savvy legal professionals to teach the programs to identify useful patterns and plans to integrate AI into things like document review. Uh, you'll still need these seasoned professionals to teach the software how to operate under existing processes. Nobody's really talking about it now, but we know there's a cost component associated with the implementation of AI. There is also an increased need to revisit cybersecurity and InfoSec protocols. And the final initiative is the one that we're probably all seeing and feeling right now, which is decreasing hiring across all legal staff positions and trying to do more with less. Here, 38% of the CLOs certified said that they plan to hire more lawyers. That figure was at 45% a year ago. So there's definitely been a reduction in the amount of legal hiring that's anticipated. So all that said, I think we can agree that there's a cost component associated with each of these initiatives. This level of investment requires money, and you are constantly being told that budget is limited. In some cases, hiring is frozen. So you're kind of caught in an operational catch 22 here. And what's a legal department to do under those circumstances? Enter the alternative legal service provider whose value to the legal industry has been affirmed by the pandemic, almost to the point that describing them as alternative at this point now seems to diminish their significance. But you don't need to take my word for it. My colleague Robert will now explain.
Thank you, Mark. Just what's the effect of all the things that Mark just said? Is alternative legal service provider, is it still really an option? Is it still alternative, or it's almost a required process these days? You've got the never-ending shrinking budgets, the B word that we're all pressuring. Even now, a lot of our clients are working on their 2024 budgets, and they've got less to work with next year. And they're in an environment, as Mark said, where they're having to cut staff, hiring freezes, and an environment where in some of these areas, the tasks are going up. They're already high volume and they're going up. It's a very bad equation to be caught in. Regulatory requirements are constantly changing, especially for our clients in financial services, insurance, all the transactional monitoring they have to do for their clients' activity, their employees' communications, their client communications. All of those are changing every year, literally every year. So the client's having to change with them, create new processes, procedures, and maybe even review more and more data every year. And on top of that, all the different data types that are just exploding, now with text and chat and video, audio, geolocations of everybody's phone. All of this information is new. And over the last few years, and all of it is subject to regulatory investigations, litigation, all those things that pop up in discovery. So an equation where all of those factors are combining to create an environment where companies are now almost required to reach out and get a partner in the alternative legal space, but in order to even have a chance of hitting budgets and getting the work done.
Particularly with respect to law enforcement requests and things like third-party subpoenas, there is an element of unpredictability. There's no way to predict what your volume of requests is going to look like on a given month, which just add to the existing challenges with respect to budget and staffing as well.
And that's a perfect point. How do you budget for, a volume next year that you have no idea what that volume is going to be? All you know is it's gone up 2 or 3 years in a row, and it's going to continue to go up. And you've got a flat budget. So again, is alternative legal service provider simply an option, or is it now almost a requirement? Colin, you'll go take the next page. Thank you. there was a survey done earlier this year about the use of alternative legal service providers that was out there. And they didn't really break it into traditional and non-traditional, but we tried to look at it with a different perspective, like this, the subject we're covering today. It's actually expanded from, doing e-discovery, document review, privilege review, and litigation regulatory matters, contract management transactions after M&As, contract lifestyle migration, cyber incident response has become more and more over the last 3 or 4 years, more traditional area where alternative legal service providers are helping. But some of the things that popped up that were really non-traditional are over here on your right: legal research, more regulatory investigation support, more traditional legal ops functions, ongoing CLM management, having someone, not just help you during a transition period, but actually being engaged in your process ongoing. Same thing around project management, reaching out to alternative legal service providers for project management support around legal and compliance related projects, to help on the cost of there. And then the last two, the legal regulatory compliance, some of these things didn't even make the survey. And when you think of why, quite a few companies that are responding to subpoenas, they're responding to law enforcement requests, garnishments, levies, liens, for example, those may not be done exactly by or be controlled by the legal department. They may be done by HR. They may be done by operational teams that are, again, reaching out to alternative legal service providers for support, even though, they're not a non-quote legal function, but they're helping their company respond to a legal requirement or a fulfillment, if you will. So, so if you look at that report and then add in the things that are being done outside of the actual legal department, it's actually even bigger than that report showed. So, Colin, I'll go to the next page. All right. Okay. Okay, what do you do now? First thing, and we've had a couple of clients literally say this: we have got to get out of the box. We've and stop looking at this is always the way we've done it. Really stepping back, looking at your processes. What are the high volume tasks that are being done? What are the high volume requests from your team or teams? Where are your resources focused on in that process? And what is your process? Is it consistent? Is it repeatable? Are there a lot of ad hoc processes, or do you have very repeatable processes? More than likely, following the old 80-20 rule, I bet 80% of your processes are very repeatable. The same thing is done, the same 5-6 steps are done almost for every single transaction. That's where you start looking for areas, processes and tasks that are grouped together like that are perfect for alternative legal service providers. And again, what's draining your resources and budget? Where are your people spending all of their time in these processes? What are the steps that they're doing? And can you have those get done at a lower cost? Jump to the next page. So what you can actually do? Yeah, you have to do some research. You really have to get down and look at your processes and your documentation. How old is your documentation? How good is your documentation? Do you have detailed workflows? What are your volumes? Have you defined your volumes that are coming in or transactions every month and by type? Have you updated your operating procedures? Look for tasks that are coming in from another group or going downstream to another group. Because when you start looking at the entirety of the process, what we've seen is in some of these handoffs, you've got duplicate tasks that are completely duplicative, and one team didn't even know the other team was also doing that. So really take a broader view of your assessment and look at the entire process and specifically around handoff points to make sure that everyone who's downstream or upstream understands what data they're getting and why and where it goes. If you spend that time to educate everyone that's involved in the process, you start finding some really quick wins to how to improve the process. Also, look for the return on investment. A lot of companies we're seeing now that even if they want to do an outsource, they have to prove it to their finance team and management that it's actually there. It's going to be a return on this, and calculate it. If you have all this data and you've created all these metrics about your volumes, turnaround times for specific things, and then you put in the cost equation of getting it done, all those transactions at a lower cost, calculate an ROI makes you be able to sell to your finance team and your senior management that not only is this good for us from a process perspective, but it hits our bottom line, lowers our cost to process these transactions, and again, be able to do more with less and hit those budgets.
The one thing I would add here, and it was a point that I made earlier, is that corporate clients are increasingly practicing mindfulness. They're paying close attention to what actually constitutes a legal task that needs to be farmed out to outside counsel versus those which can either be handled internally by legal ops staff or can be outsourced to ALSPs.
Okay, so now you've done all that work, you've got your process defined. You can either look for a partner to help you do that assessment, go in and help you do the workflows, help you document your processes. But if you have good processes and have the good workflows, the next process is finding a partner. And partner is the key word there. You not want to look for somebody. This is not transactional. They're going to come in, help you on one project, one transaction, and leave. This is talking about a partner and a partnership, a team that's going to come in and do steps in your process that you own, steps 3 through 5, maybe 12 through 15 in our process. They're going to be literally a partner with you and helping you get work done. So it's a different mindset. So when you're hiring for a different mindset like that, some of the things that I, again, from being on the buyer of these services for a decade and alternate legal service providers and now providing that, some of the things that I see that are really critical is looking at their experience. How long has that alternate legal service provider been doing that type of work? For how many industries have they provided them? Is it just legal and compliance related experience, or is it operational experience? The scope of the services, how many process types and what are the specific types are they performing for other clients, and or are they processing or performing end to end? So again, if you look at what they're actually doing, what is their actual experience, the processes they're doing, is it end to end? What are the tasks, and what are the type tasks that they may be doing for other clients that are directly related to yours? The other item is breadth of services. How many regions, countries are they working in? Are they helping clients in the UK only, US only, in Asia, out of India, or can they provide services around the world? Really, how can what is their experience level? Where are they delivering the services? And what is the difference of cost there? Quality, accuracy, build that in when you're getting your partner as part of your documentation in the previous step. When you're getting the metrics together, how many transactions are coming in, request, what are your turnaround times, how do you define accuracy, how do you measure accuracy, and build that in as you're bringing in the partner as part of your ongoing process. And along with that process, quality is reporting. Make sure you've got reporting either internally or that the service provider can give you, that you can see the transactions that are being done, where they're being done, turnaround times, the response, the results of QA, things like that. You can't manage it if you can't monitor it. So again, as Mark said earlier, you got to build that into the process. The other thing is scalability. Can they scale up and down as you need? As volumes go up, can they scale up? And volumes go down, can you shift resources to another project? So you need a partner who can be very flexible and change with you, because your processes will change, your volumes will change, and you need a partner who will partner with you and change with you all along the way. So now you've got, what's the big takeaway? Again, I hope what we've heard today is that this is no longer transactional. The history of alternative legal service providers was one on project based, where now it's turning into managed service based, or helping a client with a piece of a process in a managed service type environment or methodology. So it's moving away from just transactional to more managed service, and it's going to be both, and it will always be both, but it's really started expanding into the managed service areas over the last 12 to 18 months, really, since COVID. Be prepared. Be prepared to spend some time on your processes, updating your policies, procedures, workflows. If you're having to do all of that, you may want to consider bringing in your partner early, so they're understanding your current process and can make on the fly recommendations to improve. So be prepared. Spend more time on being on the preparation piece of this. It will save you significant time downstream. And again, I hope it's more apparent now that as in these managed service environments, an ALSP really becomes part of your process. They're a teammate. They're embedded with your team to get things done. So it's a little different mindset there. And because of that, really look for a strategic long-term partner, someone who fits with your team, has the same likes, dislikes. They really get there. You're in this together. And it's never an us versus them. Look for a partner who will be a partner and help you change and improve as you go along.
And it's a really interesting thing. As a result of the tech explosion, the nature of partnership has kind of shifted as well with respect to ALSPs. Historically, it wasn't uncommon for a corporate client to essentially force the use of an ALSP, particularly within the managed document review context, upon a law firm or something like that. Things have changed. Firms have pressures as well. They recognize that they're not probably in the best position to always scale quickly or have the best handle on technology. So as opposed to corporate clients forcing the use of ALSPs upon firms, the really savvy firms are now taking it upon themselves to partner with ALSPs in the areas where they find themselves deficient. And they're bringing that value to the corporate client as opposed to having, that relationship dictated.
End of our presentation. We hope this was conversational, informative, and if anybody has any questions, Mark and I will be here to answer anything we can.
Both Mark and Robert, I really appreciate you guys. Would you guys, since we're such a small group right now, and would you guys be open to going into a breakout? I believe Laurie has some questions. I may have some questions for you, so we can maybe kind of sound off each other for the next 10, 15 minutes.
No, that'd be great. Yeah.
Sound good? It looks like Laurie, I will put you in here I'll make you a presenter so we can just talk here, so we don't have to go into a different room. And you'll just enable your mic, and then I'll shut down the presentation, and we can just jump into the chat. Okay, 1 second, guys. I'm just going to move the presentation. There we go. So, Laurie, you just have to enable your mic. So you'll click on there's a red cog above. It should be above, like where it says attendees. And once you click on that, it'll enable your mic.
to...
Oh, there we go.
Okay, good. Hi, everyone.
Hello. How are you?
Doing
Perfect.
fine. Thank you. Hi, Colin.
Hey,
Yeah, I do have a question. Really more out of curiosity. You've mentioned in your survey that the LSP or the use of LSPs covers various um, topics or questions that are fairly usual, but you've also mentioned that you see more and more LSPs taking over some specific legal ops functions. So I was curious as to which ones.
One of the ones we've seen on the legal ops side is helping like do spend analysis. So if my largest corporate clients have very restrictive, I'll call it restrictive, on the pricing and what law firms can charge, what they cannot charge for, and what the pricing levels are. And that's great. You put it in the contract, but if you're not monitoring it, how good is that? So large corporations are actually having people go in, review bills, which it can be manual. There's some tools out there that can help. But at the end of the day, they ended up taking eyes on looking at bills, what was charged, how much was charged for. And some clients are very specific, or they will never uh, you know, pay for more than 1 hour for a specific type of work, and really looking at the detail and are they being charged 3 hours for a task that they were told we would only be charged for one. So it's more in the legal spend analysis area where you see it most. From a true legal ops perspective, some companies are helping on the legal matter management reporting. What we've seen, depending on again budgets, some companies have a matter management tool, but the reporting, they didn't have the skill set or whatever to create better reports. So they're having alternate legal service providers come in and look at tools, reporting to help them better manage the process going forward.
Got it. So that's a perfect segue. I was about to say that. Can you see me? Okay.
No, you dropped off.
I was just about to say as well that the use of LSPs, for myself, I see it great on the legal peer review side. So what you've just mentioned, I think there is a great use of LSPs here. And don't get me wrong, there are tech that do that, and they are doing it well. But I feel that the human touch is really key to go into the nitty-gritties of the guidelines, which can be very tricky.
Exactly.
I like the use of both technology and human review. So LSPs for that are great. So thanks.
Yeah. I mean, and again, going back to my career back in America, when some of these technology were just coming out, everybody promised, oh, technology was going to do everything. It didn't. You still have to have humans look at documents and verify that the computers were doing things appropriately and auto tagging things correctly. So we've evolved to AI, but it's going to be the same thing. You just can't let these things run. You've got to have a human involved in the process, either doing the QA or things that are outside of the scope that the answer is outside of some type of defined area that you need a human to look at and go, that's not valid, or it is. I mean, there's always going to need a human involved in the process, or because the regulators or opposing counsel are not going to really care. If you ran it through technology and the technology gave a bad answer, they're
We cannot just blame the technology. No, I
yeah.
agree. I think it's a teamwork, tech and human. I don't see
Mhm.
tech replacing humans anytime soon. I do see tech enabling humans and
Mhm.
creating capacity for humans and empowering humans to work on the most intellectually challenging work. But I
Exactly.
agree, it's real partnership. So yeah, thank you very much for your
Sure.
answers.
Sure.
just really quickly, can you tell me some of your kind of use cases that Integrion works with, in house, and with what teams? Like, what's a typical customer? Is it across all technologies? Does it help them strategize? Like, what is your process like when you go in to a new company and you're trying to not sell them or add value to them?
Right. Well, it's a little different depending on the client. I mean, if we're going in for an insurance client, we know from experience the type of, third party subpoenas they get. So we can go in and help them. If it's a law enforcement request, if it's a telephone company, internet service provider, financial services, the law enforcement realizes now with a very well written subpoena, they can find out everything about you, where you were, your text, your geolocation of your phone, who you were with, everything about you. So it really depends on the client and the type of the business the client is in. And then from that, what are the areas like third party subpoenas, law enforcement requests? Large companies have garnishments and levies and liens, same process over and over and over again, regardless of the industry. They're going to have that problem. So it's really kind of a customized. I don't want to say pitch. I'm not a salesperson, but what is the thing that a bank is going to have the most problems with versus an insurance company versus a telephone company versus internet service provider? They're going to have a little different profile, if you will, for third party subpoenas, law enforcement requests, garnishments, levies, and liens. Again, so it's really dependent on that. And then where are they in that? Are they ad hoc? Has it grown over years and they've never really pieced it all together? Or do they have a really good workflow and a good process? And now they just need someone who can come in and do the work at a lower price point for those high volume, lowest risk things. So it depends. We've had clients all the way on one end of the spectrum that had virtually no policy procedures, no reporting, and they had thousands of requests in the backlog. Others have super detailed processes and still have thousands in the backlog because their volumes are so high. So it really is a customized solution based on the client and what their specific needs are.
So it sounds like it's highly regulated industries you've named so far. Is that your target market?
Yes, I
Particularly
mean,
with
yes, I
this.
mean, highly regulated that require, again, so for, banks, broker dealers, they're required to review all of their employees' emails. It's something they're required to do constantly. So that's just one example. But yeah, highly regulated industries and companies that have a significant amount of their clients' data, their bank
If
records.
if I was explaining to somebody like what your cost structure is, like how do you approach that? Like, is it we work for X amount of hours? Here's the labor. Like what's
Yeah.
your package?
So it depends on if the client needs us to come in and help them do workflow analysis, create reporting, track turnaround times for specific steps in the process. We can do that, and we have done that. If they've already done that, then they know that they have 10,000 transactions a year, and there are 8 steps in that process. 4 of them are very repeatable, and they know the turnaround times combined in those is 4 hours. Then you can do the math and go, how many hours a year does it take to do those steps? And then we can offer the resources being done. We have people doing work in the UK, the US, and India. So it depends on the client, and if they, the lowest cost is obviously to go to India with some of the resources. Some people do. Some people have split the team between US and India. But we can do it any way the client wants. We just say it looks like this is X number of hours per year, which equals 8 head count, and we'll do that for you. And we can do it out of these 3 locations. And here's the hourly pricing. So again, it's very customized to the client, their process, and what are the steps in the process that they are talking about outsourcing, and do they have enough data to do that or define that yet? And if not, that's when we can go in and help them define how many resources do you actually need and get some data together.
So we can
And
offer, we
sorry,
can
Mark.
offer services sort of in a piecemeal fashion, or we can perform a task end to end. So as Robert was mentioning, sometimes clients' processes are just so broken that it really just turns into a consultative type of engagement. And we can consult We can offer process improvement suggestions, which can either be implemented by the client or by ourselves. It's really up to them. And we price that one way. If they decide that they want us to implement those improvements and also just essentially have us take over a particular function, that's priced a different way.
Okay, I got. Are you guys like tech agnostic? You'll work with like the companies,
Correct.
technologies.
Correct.
Do you have any kind of tech components yourselves, or like who hosts the data? Right, if there's data transfer, is that going outsourced as well? Or
we do all the work behind the client's firewalls, and we want it that way. We never take possession of the client's data, so we're set up as contractors, go through all the security checks, get the password IDs, get access to the 3, 4, 5, however many system it is in their network that's required, that we're required to get, do the work. But we'll do the work, and when we're doing it end to end or piecemeal, it stays on the client. It never comes off of the client system. We're using their laptops, we're using their shared drives, everything. We're doing it, as an employee. So sometimes other people at that company see our email addresses, but it has our client's email address. They don't even know that we're an alternative legal service provider. It's almost invisible, or it is invisible to them.
Stealth.
We do as much as possible to minimize risk and ensure compliance with the client's policies and procedures.
Yeah.
So one other quick question I have is, like, when I look at integrity and in its totalness, like you guys are like you're like a branch of it, right?
We're part of
doing subpoena management and litigations
we're under litigation services. So it's kind of, but when you look at our clients, half our clients are not even litigation. They're in a business line support function, helping the legal to respond to things. So we don't fit in real nicely. But the most reasonable common sense part is litigation services, because a lot of the core work that we do is reviewing documents for either a legal or regulatory or compliance process. Is it responsive? Is it a violation? You're coding things. So a lot of the core responsibilities of what we do leverage our experience as a document review vendor for many, many years. So it kind of evolved out of that.
Okay. And you're involved in like CLM space as well, right? And document management.
Well, not as really in that space. We touch it because we're having to use our clients' document management, things like that, but we're not really involved in that piece of it. That would be, on our contract management side of the business.
Yeah, awesome. So I think I've really got a good sense. Look, small amount of people here today. It's probably the lowest I've ever had, to be quite honest. I will do everything to push your message out. We got a copy of this recording, and I will amplify this. Just to let you know, I'll amplify it in the upcoming e-zine to kick off the year with some of the same messaging from you. If both you and Mark have something you've wrote this year that supports like some of this narrative,
right,
I'd like to kind of push that out as well, because this is kind of a new space, like for kind of folks in legal operations in general coming into subpoenas. Yes. And it's almost like you're twisting around to kind of get them here. Like Laurie's probably a bit more advanced, and has seen a lot more.
No, but I think ALSPs are true partners to legal ops people. And I really say that from the bottom of my heart. This is always an avenue that I have personally explored, because this is where we can, manage our cost best, because we work with experts that we are not able to hire because of budget constraints, but we still get the expertise. So I do see that as a true partnership, really.
Yeah. Well, Colin, we'll get some of those articles that we've written this year over to you. Next day or two. Yep.
Please do. Thank you, Laurie. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you, Laurie.
You're welcome. That was very interesting. Thank you very much. Have a good day, guys.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Robert.
Bye-bye.
Look forward to receiving the articles.
Right.